Our topic today is sentence variety. I have been reading your wonderful writing work, and it's been an absolute pleasure to see your original ideas. And actually, you're quite good at using different types of sentences. I've seen lots of simple, compound, and complex sentences in your writing. What I have noticed, though, is that you often start your sentences, whether they be simple, compound, or complex, in the same way. And so today we're going to be exploring how we can vary our sentence starters or the quality of our sentences. In essence, we're going to upgrade a sentence. We're going to start by looking at this sentence. The boy looked grubby. There's nothing wrong with the sentence. In fact, I really quite like the adjective grubby to describe the boy here. However, there are 7 different ways that we could adjust the sentence to make it even better. The first method I'm going to call the adverb comma, and you will have come across this at Key Stage 2 in Year 6, absolutely, definitely. We're going to start our sentence with an adverb. So here we've got self-consciously, and I've highlighted the ly because adverbs generally end in ly, and then we add a comma. Self-consciously, the boy gave a wry smile through the grub on his face. The second method I've entitled object and prepositional phrase. Now, this is giving you two options as to how you can add something on the end of your sentence to give it more information. In this case, I've added some objects. The boy's grubby face was flecked with mud and oil. By adding those objects, I'm adding detail to my sentence. Now I know why his face is so grubby and what is actually on it. You could also use a prepositional phrase to extend your sentence. So a preposition tells you where something is positioned. So in, on, under, through. You could always add some information about where your subject is to develop your sentence. We can also use a simile in our sentences, and hopefully with all the work that we've been doing on similes, you will be able to give this a good go. So we're going to compare the boy's grubby face to something else. The boy's grubby face was flecked with mud and oil, like beard stubble across his young face. And here we've got the mud and the oil being compared to the stubble of a beard. Right, we can also start with a present participle or a verb. Here I've managed to start with a verb and an adverb. Smiling sadly, the boy's face was just about visible through the layers of grime. We can also use the word so in order to really exaggerate an idea in your sentence. The boy's face was so grubby, so filthy, it wasn't until he turned his head and smiled that I realized he was a boy at all. And here, by adding so grubby, so filthy, we have the sense of exaggeration or hyperbole, letting us know just how filthy he was and emphasizing that. My next favorite thing to do is to use brackets, and the fancy name for using brackets is using parenthesis. And what we do is we pop some extra information in the brackets that supports the rest of the sentence, but isn't necessarily directly about it. The boy's face looked grubby, although it wasn't as if he wasn't trying to keep it clean, and grease, mud and oil was smeared across his cheeks. you will notice that if I just leave the information in the brackets out, the rest of the sentence would still make sense. The boy's face looked grubby, and grease, mud and oil was smeared across his cheeks. It's a nice compound sentence. By adding in the parenthesis and the extra information in brackets, you're adding in some detail. I've called our final method or example for today, it isn't, it is. And this is another exciting way of really exaggerating and emphasizing the intensity of something. The grub isn't just your ordinary everyday dirt. It is layers of deep grime that need to be washed away. No, scrubbed away. Now, I totally understand that these different types of sentences might feel quite overwhelming. So you might like to pause the video, go back and listen to the information on each one before trying the next task so that you can chunk it down. So for example, you might go back to where I spoke about the adverb comma and then deal with the adverb comma section on the next activity. So if you have a look at your Google Doc, you will have a copy of this example to refer to. So you've got one on your page that you can keep going back and looking at. So for your first activity, I have chosen a sentence for you. Our main sentence is, the pomegranate seeds glistened. And hopefully you're all going, yes, pomegranates, Persephone, we've been learning about that. And what I've done is I've taken this lovely sentence and I have upgraded them, but in the upgraded sentences I have removed some of the key words. And all the keywords are up here in the box at the top. So what I want you to do is to make sure that these sentences make sense by either copying and pasting them from the box into the space or typing them out. Please be very careful if you're typing about capital letters, punctuation marks. It's really, really important. Right, so I thought we could do a quick example together. I thought we would start with a simile because we've been doing so much work on similes. So I know that a simile always compares two objects. I'm going to read the sentence first. Sparkling rubies catching the sunlight, the pomegranate seeds glistened invitingly. Well, I haven't really got any words there that show that I'm comparing two things. I know that I must be comparing two things, so I'm guessing I'm going to be comparing the pomegranate seeds to something in the first part of the sentence, but I need a nice comparative word that's going to help me. So I can go to the top and have a little look. Flesh, like, is, irresistible, deliciousness, glistening, Mount Olympus, eat me, out, invitingly, so, isn't, and with. And if I look at all of those words, there's one that stands out to me as being what we need for a simile. I need a like or an as, and this is helpful as well because there's a word at the beginning of the sentence and here I've got a capital letter. So I've given you some clues to help you. So I'm going to try and see if the sentence makes sense before I type it in or write it in. Like sparkling rubies catching the sunlight, the pomegranate seeds glistened invitingly, and that definitely makes sense. So I'm going to type or write or copy and paste my word in here. Notice that I've tried to trick you a little bit. Up until now, our likes and our as's have been in the middle of our similes. I've decided to move that like around a little bit to try and challenge you, I suppose. Right, so what you're going to do is complete this activity on page 2 of your Google Doc. And you should all be able to do that. Once you've done that, and I expect everybody to be able to do the work up until that point, I'd like you to try your own. Now again, everyone will be able to at least start this activity. So you are now going to write your own simple sentence in the central box. I'm going to give you, or I have given you on your doc, a blank grid for you to fill in. So in the central box, you're going to write a simple sentence, and then you're going to have a go at upgrading it using the different grammatical forms. Now, the sentence that you choose to put in the middle can be about anything at all, and it should be an interesting sentence. Don't make it too plain. I want a nice simple sentence. Now, perhaps you want to write a sentence that's linked to one of the texts that we studied this year, Holes or The Tempest or the Greek myths, like I did with Persephone and her pomegranates. Or you might like to write a sentence about a character or a setting from a book that you're reading or that you've finished reading in AR. If you really can't think of your own sentence and you're totally stuck, only then may you choose from one of my sentences below. So here are 3 for you to choose from, but only if you can't find your own. Or hopefully maybe looking at these sentences will help you generate your own ideas. So you could use Caliban was overjoyed, or Stanley and Zero crunched the onions, or Camp Green Lake sizzled in the desert. So once you've decided on what your sentence is, you are then going to go to the 3rd page in your Google Doc and you are going to type your own sentence over here. Then I know that every single one of you can do the first 3 boxes going clockwise. You can all use an adverbial. You can all extend your sentence by adding some object or adding a prepositional phrase telling me where something happened. And you should all at this point be able to construct a simile for me. So I expect everybody to complete the first 3 boxes and your sentence on the 3rd page of the Google Doc in this activity. Some of these other sentences might feel a little bit challenging, and so these could be optional. However, if your working level is a 7.4 or a 7.5, I expect you to have a go at them at least. Otherwise, you're all doing those first 3 over here and adding your own sentence. And if you want to, and you want to stretch yourself, try and finish off the rest of the worksheet. I really look forward to reading your sentences.